Where do you get your self-image from? I'm talking about the way that you perceive yourself, the things that you believe about yourself, the things that you think about yourself. Is it from people? Is it perhaps from your parents, what they said about you, things they taught you about yourself? Is it perhaps from the kids who used to bully you when you were younger and you never got over it? Is it perhaps from the things that you have achieved, the things that you have been able to accomplish throughout your life? Where do you get your self-image from? What has informed the way that you see yourself? I want to tell you something very interesting about self-image and something that is very important about self-image. And it is this: self-image must be projected from the inside. I want to say this again. Self-image is projected from the inside. You need to get to a point in your life where you understand that the smallness that you feel is from the inside and not from outside. But the mistake that a lot of us make is that what we see on the outside informs how we see ourselves. So it's the things that you don't have. It's the things that you do have. And so for as long as I don't have much, I don't see myself as much. As long as there are people who are bigger than me physically, people who are bigger than me in status, I feel like I am small. But the largeness that you see on the outside is often first projected from the inside. There's a great example of this that we see in the book of Numbers, chapter 13. We see Moses, the leader of the Israelites at the time, who were making their way to the promised land. As just before they enter into the promised land, they are closer than they've ever been. And he sends out 12 spies from the entire nation. He says to these 12 men, go out into the promised land and go and see if the land is everything that God said it is. We've been told that it is a land that flows with milk and honey, a land that is abundant in crops, a land where we can settle and live our lives. Go and see if this is indeed true. These 12 spies go off and they scout the entire land, and they come back with a report that says it is indeed everything that we were told that it is. The land is amazing. They even bring back some of the fruits and say, this is what we found in the land. It is everything that we heard it was. This is good news, and I want you to hold on to this picture for a moment. Because a better way to think about this might be you thinking in terms of the future, letting your mind go into the future and see yourself having accomplished everything that you have been called to accomplish, having become the person that you have been called to become, having arrived at the place where God is calling you to. And then you come back and say, it is amazing, and it is indeed the place that God has said that it is. But here's an interesting thing. They then say, but the people who currently occupy the land are large and powerful. We cannot overcome them. There's no way that we can drive them out of that land. In other words, the promised land is occupied. The thing that I want will not come as easily as I thought it would. The thing that I desire, the thing that I know will be good for me, will not come as easily as I thought it would. And so it is important for you to understand that the promised land is occupied, but that does not mean that it is not rightfully yours. The place that you have been called to will not come easily, but that does not mean that it is not meant to be yours. And that's the mistake a lot of people make. A lot of people make this mistake where they say, if it is not easy, then I guess it's just not meant to be. I guess I just wasn't meant to have it. Perhaps you were meant to have it, but the challenge, the battle on your way to having it is what will make you into the person who was worth occupying that land. And so although there were giants in the land, they still had to take the land. And so they come back with a report that says, we cannot do it. And they say something very fascinating. They say, the occupants of the land are big, and we even saw ourselves as grasshoppers in their own eyes, and surely they saw us as the same. They said these people must have seen us as grasshoppers because we saw ourselves as grasshoppers. But here's the interesting thing. They never spoke to the giants to find out if they see them as grasshoppers. They They themselves saw themselves as grasshoppers, and they just assumed that everybody else saw them as grasshoppers. Oftentimes, people don't think what you think they think about you. You thought it about yourself, and you are projecting those thoughts onto other people. It's possible that people don't actually think that you are stupid, and you thought you're stupid, and you project that onto other people. It's possible that people don't actually think that you're not good enough, and you think you're not good enough, and you project that onto other people. They said, we saw ourselves as grasshoppers, and as they're saying this, there are two men who go against that kind of report, who go against that kind of mentality. They immediately say, we should certainly go up and take it, for we can certainly do it. They said, we need to go at once. We need to go right now and take that land because we can certainly do it. These two men, Caleb and Joshua, who are saying this, they themselves are not giants. They are just like the other men who went with them. But it's fascinating that the overwhelming majority of people come back with a negative report. And then it goes on to say that that negative report was spread throughout the entire camp, and everybody else caught the fear that they came up with. Everybody else caught the doubt that they came back with. It's very easy to believe the majority. And it's fascinating that you and I have been programmed to believe the majority, right? Anytime that you say you want to do something, you are told about the example of the majority. When I say that I want to be a world-class speaker, I am told about the people who don't make it, the speakers who don't make it, instead of being told about the ones who make it. And to us, it's logical. To us, it's logical, but I want you to understand that even as logical as it sounds, I don't believe that it is in your best interest to be listening to the report of the majority, because the majority is often wrong. The majority, even today, is often doubtful. They're afraid. They're really, really scared. They believe everything that they see on the news. They believe everything that they hear from their neighbors. They believe everything they see on social media. The majority is quick to spread fear, to spread doubt, to spread negativity. And so it is not in your best interest to believe the majority, to stand with the majority. And the entire camp of the Israelites didn't understand this. And so what they did is they believed the 10 men who came back with the negative report, while Joshua and Caleb were saying, let's go and do this because we can. We need to go and do this. What makes you think that you can do it? What makes you think that you can stand up to these men? Except that it be how you see yourself. The difference between these two groups is how they see themselves, how they perceive themselves. Joshua had caught the calling. He had caught the vision. And when he came back to report on what he saw that was good. He came back with the emphasis of what was good, an emphasis of the promise. And oftentimes we have a tendency of emphasizing the challenge that is on our way to the promise. Where is your emphasis? Where is your focus? What is it that you have given your energy to? Is it the report that says there are giants that occupy the land and we saw ourselves as grasshoppers before them? Or is it one that says the land is everything that God said it is and I want it? I want the dream. The dream is beautiful. In my imagination, I went there. In a dream, I went there. And when I came back, I said, I want it. Your self-image is projected from the inside. The person that God created you to be is fearless. The person that God created you to be is without doubt, full of love, courageous, not afraid of anything. That's the person that God created. The person that God created believes in themselves. Become that person. Stand in that Joshua and Caleb mentality. And I promise you, as you do that, you will start to realize that the largeness on the outside is first projected from the inside. In the same way that the smallness that you feel on the outside is first projected from the inside.
When you change your thoughts, you change your life. This is Thoughts That Count with Poloko.